Hey guys, John Scarborough. This is going to be part two of the hammer videos video. This is not going to be nearly as long. That other one was starting to get pretty lengthy. Didn't want to drag it out too long. So anybody that has made it to the second video, if you have not seen the first one, you do need to go back. Most of the information is in that video. But anyway, this is going to be to wrap it all up. And if you have watched that first one, then I appreciate you making it this far. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up just a little bit. What I've done here, I'm going to show you kind of the reason for so many hammers. Not everybody needs nearly this many hammers. Partly, obviously, I mean, you can see over here, here's some old junk hammer heads. I find most of these hammer heads I've either found, they were given to me, or they were heads, hammer heads. You can tell that one's got a pretty good bit of rust on it. Hammer heads that I find at scrapyard or wherever, and I'll get for pennies. I mean, maybe $1, So I'll usually go ahead and pick them up and put a new handle on there. Sometimes I kind of get carried away and try to do something a little bit more whatever, nothing special, just playing around. Sure ain't all that good at it, but just playing around a little bit. Definitely got a little carried away on that one, and turned out it was a little bit thinner than I wanted back here, but it's fairly comfortable. But anyway, just kind of playing around on that one. Don't really ever use that hammer. I leave it on my anvil. Every now and then I will use it. I'll go ahead and carry it over here to the anvil real quick. I will actually use it just for setting pins and things like that. And that's part of my reason for having multiple hammers, is I like to keep I like to have hammers around the shop. I like to have them in different places where I can get to them. And since I can get those heads for so cheap, and I have been able to, then I'll just kind of keep them around. So that one just kind of lives on the anvil. It's not really the one that I use if I'm doing a little bit of blacksmithing, playing around a little bit. It's not the one I use very much. It's just the one that I keep here for setting pins, for center punch stuff, cutting a little stuff off here and there. Obviously, I'm not going to cut it off on there. I'll use that for it. But anyway, so that's what that one's for. Don't use it just a whole lot, but just playing around with it. And then I got this one right here. This one, I put the handle on that one. Nothing special, like I said, but got the head for like, I don't know, 50 cents maybe, tops. But ball peen hammers come in handy. They're not the best hammer in the world necessarily, but they come in handy. They're probably one of the most popular, if I had to bet. They just come in handy. They're useful. That peen on the back, very useful. I even use them some if I'm playing around with blacksmithing. I might use them for shaping certain things here and there. You use them a lot of times in mechanic work and things like that. I've used them a little bit for that. But I keep that hammer in one of my tractors. And that's part of the reason I like different hammers. I like to have them in different places. So I'll keep that one in my tractor. It's a good little size. It's handy. Part of the reason for actually cutting the handle off on that one and making it shorter was because the size box that I had, it fits just right in there. So it works pretty good. Other than that, I might not would ever use that hammer just a whole lot, but since it stays right there and lives in that tractor for 50 cents, I use it a lot if I'm on that tractor. I need another one to go on my other tractor. And then I go around over here. I like to have hammers in pairs when I'm using them in the shop and things like that. I like to pair up stuff. Hammers work for me when I use hammers the way I use them a lot in different professions. I find that hammers work well in pairs. So like these two right here, I'll keep these two. You got two different reasons for them both. You might need that one for a little bit more hit, and then this one for a little bit more control. Like I said, but then a lot of times, like I mentioned in the other video, you might need to use them together. So I'll keep hammers in different places. I'll show you over here, like this right here. Got those little welding rods welded around there, and I'll just use them right there on that table. And those two live together just like that. They stay on this little table. That's all they're for. They're for the shop, but I have other hammers in the shop. They're primarily for this table, because most of my work that's done in this shop, I always have that table around me. So that's kind of what I use it for. And then I've got these over here. All three of these stay inside my welding trailer. I don't have a need for putting any other hammers. For the most part, these do the job that I need. like I'd talked about previously with all the different things on these hammers, they pretty much serve everything that I need. I could stand another hammer or so for a couple other applications, but for the most part, to keep the weight down, that's what I use. And mostly it's those two in conjunction together. So to go back and touch a little bit on what I was talking about on the other video, for anyone that doesn't understand the value of shorter handles or very small hammers or very large hammers or long handles or metal handles or wood handles or any of the reasons for those, anyone who doesn't understand that has probably just got into a little hobby and they kind of started messing around with blacksmithing or something. There's a lot of people out there that started doing that, and suddenly they think they're a pro because they've messed around with one profession. Or the other thing is they have been in one profession, but it's just their outlook. Okay, so if you don't understand the value of different lengths of handles and different styles of hammers and different ways of doing things, it's just because you haven't been around enough. Okay, so nothing against that at all, but don't make an opinion and say that everyone should just live by your opinion, period. Okay, so those go on my welding trailer, and what's nice about that is my welding trailer stays parked outside my shop. And so if I'm away from the shop, then yes, I am limited to just these three hammers. But if I am at my shop, then all of a sudden I have everything that's in my trailer. So I'll have access to all three of these, and I will have access to those two hammers and all my other hammers. These two are more or less spares if you want to really get down to it. I do use this. This is the same weight as that one. I do use it some for shaping metal if I need to, here and there. Don't find that I use it a lot. Mostly I just use it when I need a 4-pound hammer that is closer to me, because I keep that in my shop. This one is actually a very handy weight, very useful weight. I've actually played around with this one doing a little bit of blacksmith work. Just played around with it. It's not my favorite hammer for that, but I have played around with it, and it's a decent, useful hammer. Definitely a lighter one, but I do find that it's useful. For the most part, they stay in the shop as just as spares, backups, whatever you want to call them. That's what they stay in there for. 50 cents a piece on the heads. Actually, I think that head I may have found for free. And then there's this right here. This one I never touched on. I'll touch on it briefly. This is a long handle on a mallet, and I find that this is very useful. This is not just a mallet. This is a heavier mallet. This is a fairly heavy mallet. It's not big, but it's fairly heavy. It's got stuff inside of there making that a heavier mallet. This right here is a very handy tool because you got enough room there, enough length that you can hang on to it with both hands. You've also got enough swing that you can get back here and use the fulcrum of your arm and really get the power out of that. And being with a mallet, you can really do some demolition work without destroying whatever it is you're hitting. So found that very, very useful for that. This right here primarily stays in my shop unless I need it somewhere else. And then I wanted to touch on this right quick. This is a hatchet with the backside of a hammer. This stays in my four-wheeler. I've done a video on the stuff that's on that I keep on my four-wheeler. Y'all can go back and watch that video if you want. Just kind of touches on everything that I keep in there. This is probably the best thing that the best choice that I could put in my four-wheeler specifically. Other than that, I will say that as a hammer, it sucks. Okay, this is a much better hammer. Okay, but as a hammer, it gets me by. In other words, it's good enough that I sure don't want to carry both of those in my four-wheeler. I want my four-wheeler as light as possible, so I'm not going to carry both of those in my four-wheeler. Okay. And neither am I going to spend the extra $35, $40 or whatever it costs to buy that. Okay, this is an awesome axe. One of the, I would probably say, the best, well, short axe, boy's axe. There's different things they call these shorter axes. They're a little bit longer than a hatchet and a little bit shorter than an axe. Well, a lot shorter than an axe. But this works excellent as an axe. or a hatchet or whatever in the four-wheeler. It works great. It's not too big, not too small. Works absolutely fabulous. I can cut right through a tree that big in one swing most of the time, depending on the tree, obviously. But works very good. But the hammer, secondary, but it will get me by for the most part. If I'm doing a lot of hammering or building a fence, I'm going to go reach for that one. It's just a better hammer for that. And I think really the real reason for it is this hammer shape, this axe shape. Like you can tell for hammer, the difference in the shape. This works really good for an axe, turning it this way. Well, as soon as you turn it over, all of a sudden that grip just feels really weird. So when I do use this as a hammer, when I've just got one tack or a nail or something on a fence and I just got one or two that I got to put in, then I find that it works better to actually close grip this. I don't like it. It feels a lot better to use this one like that. But if I don't have it and I'm having to make do, then for this one, I choke it up just a little bit, and I find that it creates that, that balance just a little bit better. And that's part of it, is it's the balance. So that's kind of what I use that one for, and I really like it. So anyway, just figured I'd throw that out there as a secondary video, kind of help show y'all some of this other stuff, help kind of get some of that other things out there. There are reasons for different hammers, and if you can find cheap hammers at scrap yards or little sales, pawn shops, if you can find anything like that, then if you know how to put on a hammer handle or something, or if you want to weld one on there or something, that can really come in handy to have a lot of different hammers. Even if they're not a specialty purpose for you, you know, it can just come in handy to have some other hammers that stay in different places. That way you're not always hunting your hammer or something like that. One that stays, I want one that stays in my truck. I don't have that yet. You know, I need one that stays in every tractor. You know, I've got both of my tractors. I want a hammer that stays in there, and then it's nice to have a couple different hammers that stay in your shop. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. I hope that these videos have helped somebody. As far as this hammer goes, this is just one that was not even sure where I got it. I don't like it at all, but I keep it in, I think I probably got it for free or something. I don't know. I don't even know where I got it, but I keep it in my spare carpenter's bag. This is spare tools. I keep string line, and it's dark in here. But anyway, I keep string line and stuff that out, just spare stuff that I'm not going to keep inside of my actual working bag. And I'll just throw that extra hammer in there. Sometimes my wife might use it or something, or whatever. It's just a spare hammer in case I need it or somebody else needs it. It's always there. Don't really know that I've ever used it, but it's there. So that's what that's in there for. There's your video. There's some reasons why you might need several different hammers and some different outlooks on hammers in general. So hope that helped. Don't forget to like and subscribe.